Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in A Death of a Dark Crusade Season 2. Tonight, we, on this lovely blue crescent moon, reacquaint ourselves with two of the Assamites of Edessa. We've been given a fairly minor but not unimportant assignment of investigating the remains of the Tremere's old chantry, or as they love to call them, the usurpers, as it is only fair and accurate. During their preparations for tonight's foray into what remains of the usurper's chantry, Al-Qadir has been conjuring up a minor storm, a minor dust storm, to mask their approach into the Christian quarter about an hour or two in advance. The change in weather is fairly fast, very fast by standards and very primitive standards of mortal meteorology, but is measurable. And as Kadir slowly begins to twist his fingers with the winds, they begin to slowly pick up. He realizes his magic has been very much successful, just in the manner that he wanted it to be. Quite a masterful casting. At which point he is able to meet up with his superior, Kemal Shair, as the storm begins to pick up proper, and is not entirely isolated to the Christian quarter. After all, there's a full-on dust storm. It covers much of the city.
We should make haste.
Of course, this won't last forever.
And we move through the city streets.
You head out from from your starting point, presumably within Jewish quarter itself. You begin to head out into the streets. The dust storm is still picking up. It's been about an hour to an hour and a half, so it's really beginning to pick up now. The winds, it's gotten quite windy. Actually, to the point where it's beginning to enter gale force winds. You see signposts flapping in the breeze, and window flaps kind of shaking against their locks, against the wooden bars that keep them closed. You don't see very far into the street. The streets are very dusty. It's Edessa. It's in the middle of the Middle East, so you can't see too far in front of you if the dust storm begins to pick up proper. And could both of you make me, what was it? I think it is dexterity check to remain standing. It won't be per turn, it'll just be for your journey.
Do we add points in celerity?
Yes, you can. Okay, yeah. Both of you, you're very sure-footed with your skill and dexterity, so neither of you have any particular trouble remaining standing at all. To you, it's still a very hard-hitting wind, enough to knock definitely children and the elderly over if they're not holding onto something or trying their utmost to remain balanced. It'd definitely not be safe for children to be out right now, as the sand kind of batters against the walls, the wind howls. You can see some detritus fly across an alley. There's actually quite a lot of there's quite a bit of small detritus being thrown around, and you can see a lot of outside materials have just been knocked over. You even hear a bit of splintering from a signpost as you pass by it. It doesn't quite come off, but the storm is definitely causing its fair share of damage to the city. But you're able to make your way through, and as you enter the Christian quarter, do any of you have all specs up?
Yep.
If so, particular senses.
I got it up.
Yep. As well.
Okay, so you both have all specs up. So it is not particularly hard. Certainly not for you, Hakeem. You see quite far ahead with all specs. In fact, you still see like much further down the streets and with much greater detail than any mortal could, even in the midst of a sandstorm. The sandstorm is still obstructive. That's really its main issue. You still see the grains of sand in remarkable detail. It's just that they're blocking the view of what you really want to see, what you're really looking for. Which is largely just keeping an eye out for guards. As for you, Kadir, you can just see as far as a normal human could see on a clear night, which is still a significant feat. Just not quite as superhuman as your elders yet, but no less important. However, Hakeem, you see this before Kadir does because of your all specs. And you see the people heading towards you before they see you. You do see a small retinue of City Watch Guard and militia heading down the same street you're on. Which presumably, I presume you passed that information on to Kadir as well.
I pass that information on and see if we can just take a divergent street.
Yes, we both still have connection to communicate that, so yeah, we can easily do
Yeah,
that.
I just send the information. He tells you that he's gonna turn right on the next corner, and you should probably follow because there's City Watch coming down this block.
Agreed.
You're just able to take a short detour, and you actually do have to stop a moment once you head down the Divergent Street because it turns out there's another retinue guards taking a sort of mirror-like patrol. Anyone here have leadership? Actually, I think you can both roll leadership if you want. Actually, no, I'll just give it to you. It's much simpler. Anyone with leadership 1 or higher, which I think both of you have. But obviously, it's fairly obvious that these patrols are well coordinated. It seems like they're designed so that they're able to cover the areas that each other is missing. So they have one. So basically, if someone's on the opposite side of the street, they'll be able the other retinue guards will be able to see and alert the guards on the other side. So it's basically there's less places for people to hide. Everyone's kind of covering blind spots, basically.
All right. So if I'm understanding this properly, then when one is out of the way, duck back around, so I'm in someone's blind spot.
Yeah, it's not. It's a you guys don't have to roll because of the sandstorm. You perceive all of this before the guards even get a chance to look for you or even spot you. They're not going to see you in this storm, particularly with the advanced insight that you have into their movements. Like you're seeing quite far ahead of them. In addition to them being able to only see a few feet in front of them, this dust storm, as you kind of head into the Christian quarter, has gotten very thick at this point. Like they can probably see a building or two ahead at best, if that. Most of them are covering their faces from what you can see. But you're able to make your way past them. They just kind of walk down roads opposite side of this neighborhood, but do not see you at all, and you're able to slip by them with fair ease. As you begin to make your way towards the centermost part of the Christian quarter, where the Chantry or its remnants are located, according to Lisa. Now, when you begin to reach your location, at least according to the coordinates that Lissa has given you, as you had never seen this Chantry before, so you wouldn't really recognize it by looking at it. You enter a neighborhood that's how to put it, very thin and very quiet. The Chantry does not appear to be on the main street at all, and in fact, as you begin to approach this neighborhood, before actually going down the street where the Chantry is, you can see the foundations and actually part of the aqueduct that was the new aqueduct that was being constructed for the city is quite close to the Chantry, or where it should be. And judging by its direction, is either going to narrowly miss it or go straight through it at some point. But what you see as you head down this street is you see most of the buildings on one side, not all of them, just most of them, have either been burnt down or are heavily burnt out. The two buildings, so basically it's a street of, how to put it, it's about 6 to 7 conjoined buildings on each side. It's a very thin road. Like you couldn't get like a wagon down here at all. You could maybe ride a horse, two, like very close together, but not like how a wagon would ride them fairly far apart. It wouldn't be possible. It's definitely, people walk down here. They don't take horses down here. It's not really safe to do so. You see, most of the homes, apart from the ones as you enter the neighborhood, are all abandoned. And the centermost buildings aren't really homes at all. They've been burnt to the ground by and large. It's just kind of like an open floor space that appears heavily burnt, and sort of the remnants of wooden pillars and a bit of rubble. It's difficult to judge what out of the buildings that have been burned down, which is about 4, which one the Chantry was. Most of the floor spaces have kind of been meshed together now. It's kind of difficult to distinguish where each building ends because it's just been so heavily burnt out.
All right.
And the sandstorm is knocking over and blowing through all the detritus. And it's picking quite a lot up with it.
Perception occult.
As you look around, I'll say, yeah, that's definitely a roll you can make. You can roll Perception Occult to see if you can spot anything that appears unnatural that you don't recognize as unnatural.
Okay.
So both of you can roll your Perception Occult. And your roll specs does apply here, but the +2 penalty from the sandstorm still applies as it's literally open, burnt out floor space.
I spend a point of willpower.
Literally see the other street. You can see the other street on the opposite side of these buildings because the walls have been burnt down. It's just, again, it's literally open, burnt out floor space.
Can I spend a point of willpower? I just want to add that Hakeem is actually taking his time, so he's not rushing it because he wants to make sure that he's actually in his looking. He doesn't want to like look over something in haste.
Okay. Okay. Oh, well, it's a good thing you have all specs in that willpower. So Kadir gets 1, 2, 3 successes, and Hakeem gets 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. I think you both get 3 successes.
Yep.
So if you begin looking over this area, unfortunately, it appears because of how quiet this area is that the militia are less prone to patrolling it, despite how in the open you are. Just walking, searching through rubble and floor space. And the remnants of a wall, which is about a foot high in some areas. It helps you distinguish between the buildings. But you do notice, as you're kind of looking through these buildings, it's the one in the center of the street that appears to be largest. In fact, it sticks out quite far into the next street. So it's quite unintrusive into on the street that you entered, but on the next street, it's actually quite large, and the road is a bit bigger, and it appears to be almost a little bit partially obstructive. It sticks out a little bit compared to the other buildings by about a few inches. And you begin looking through the detritus and the rubble. And you don't really find much at first. The sandstorm is not really making your lives particularly easy when it comes to looking through rubble that it's blowing around. And despite your enhanced senses, it's still slightly obstructive. You don't find anything on the first floor, on the ground floor of this particularly large floor space. But what you do find that gives the game away. One moment. Sorry. What gives the game away is that as you're looking through this floor space, one thing you notice One thing you immediately notice is that there is a fairly large hole, which is currently being filled with dust. Which seems to lead into a fairly large basement level now that you look into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the basement level is largely made of stone. It seems to be a very well constructed stone tunnel. And actually, if you think about it, it's quite curious as to how such a large hole like this would have been made into the flooring, as obviously the ceiling of the basement floor is propped up by what is clearly very thick stone masonry.
Okay.
This would be something you'd be more inclined to see in a far more affluent area, and looks weirdly. The masonry looks strangely complex. It's not particularly simple, although it does appear to be entirely utilitarian. The only thing inside which you see of particular importance, which is where your occult comes into play, is one of the doors seemingly having a very dated ward on it. As the tunnel seems to lead into a more open area where there are a couple of doors and what appears to be a stairway. And if you look the other way, you can see just a bunch of cells, like a bunch of jail cells. About a dozen. You can also smell rotting flesh.
Try to pinpoint it.
It's deeper into the it's deeper into the cellar, but you can see on the edges of the open area kind of burst fleshy sacks. That have just been there slowly rotting away over time.
Sacks of what did you say?
Just fleshy sacks. They just smell like just absolutely just awful. They stink. They reek. And it's absolutely putrescent. It's disgusting, but it's kind of it's a bit hard to pinpoint what the hell those sacks are doing there, or what they are, what they were. It's been some time.
Intelligence occult? Or intelligence kindred lore?
It wouldn't be canine lore, I think. I think intelligence occult. Are you also? Do you head in? Do you head in to the? Do you head down the hole in the floor? Yeah. This is just an important question. Because the hole has clearly not been made particularly gracefully. It's almost as someone took a massive hammer to it, like a really big hammer. It's like it could fit a person or two.
Chris, if we're able to see these flesh sacks, I was wondering, would intelligence or perception medicine possibly give me some information?
You can roll perception. You can roll intelligence medicine. It will give you different information than occult.
Yeah, I understand that.
Could I do both?
You can do both.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Also, do denote which ones are medicine and which ones are occult, because I won't be able to tell. And actually, I can. I can just look at your sheet.
I
The
I keep
first
saying
one,
these clearly incorrect things.
it's the same amount of dice, Chris.
I see. Okay. Yeah, in which case I would need a differentiation.
So the first one is occult. Second one is
Okay.
medicine.
Okay. So the first one. I'm actually also going to say the difficulty for the occult roll will be difficulty 8 because the nature of the information is obscure. Other than that, medicine roll diff 6 is fine. So for the medicine roll, we'll just go through that one first. Kadir, you're not really able to discern anything. Like,
Nope.
there is no biology here. It's just a burst, rotting, fleshy sack. Whatever this was would probably have been impossible to examine in the first place. It kind of looks, it's closer to like some sort of Tismisi experiment than anything else. Like a failed one at that. And it's way too far gone for you to really examine. But Hakeem, who gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Does my spec in medicine come into play?
What was your specialty again?
Shit. It actually hasn't been put, so
Yeah,
I don't
you
feel
don't have to
comfortable
determine
saying
anything.
it. So it doesn't matter at this point.
Okay. You can just give one to me, the Odyssey, and I'll add it to your sheet.
Just add to the end of the scene.
Okay. I got like 5 successes, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. So, right, you can tell that this biology is clearly not natural. There is no real, whatever this once was, it was not alive. And this appears to be more like it's the way it seems to appear is that of some sort of, it's like a very large egg sac that you would more expect from like insects and the like. But with a sort of human, but with the sac of the egg, as it were, being human flesh. If there was anything inside, it doesn't appear to be here.
Wow, that just clicked in my head.
It's likely dead. Occult-wise, you understand that this sort of egg-like symbology and knowing that this is a place where a lot of blood magicians have existed, you can tell this was some sort of ritual experiment, likely a very complex one, due just to the size of what is there, and the fact that this was probably intended to create something. You're not entirely sure what, but you know the usurpers do have a tendency towards creating simulacra and other things. This appears organic, though. So it is not an inorganic simulacra. It is not some sort of animated. It's not like an animated suit of armor or anything like that. It is not a golem or an automaton, in the sense that it is organic. It could be an organic golem or a clone.
Is there any symbols or anything?
You got You got 2 successes on your roll, so no, it appears to. It's the flesh sack has been rotting for a few weeks now. There's not a lot left to see of it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Basically,
been rotted away.
based off that knowledge, right? Is there any? Whose domain is this, by the way?
It was the Tremere's.
Is there anyone claimed it now?
Let me check the map.
Because if not, then this is hilarious. Because somebody's about to snatch. Because anyone could have just walked in here.
No, the Christian Quarter is largely unclaimed.
Oh. Hakeem will reclave. Yeah. One, he will see if Lissa, the other sorcerer, is available through like the link, and through Al-Qadir through the link also. This is what this is, like a description, so just so we don't have to repeat ourselves. Basically what it is, and that it's been left by the Tremere. Anyone could have walked in here.
What's interesting is that this building appears like it's been, apart from the basement floor that you're on, the basement floor appears to be in fairly good condition. It's very dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Some vermin have made their whole home in the walls, but it doesn't look like this place has been damaged or had much of its contents removed from it. Yet obviously the first the floor above, the ground floor, is just completely, it's been burnt to a crisp.
There is something I do want to try.
Cool.
2 things. First thing is this place is very dirty, yes. Perception occult. The reason why I say perception occult is that I'm not looking for mundane things. I'm looking for things that stand out, things that stick out in that specific way. And the second one is illuminate the prey, the trail of the prey, to see where that thing is.
So what was the first thing you wanted to do again?
Basically a perception occult, and the second thing I wanted to do was I want to do a ritual, illuminate the prey, the trail of the prey.
Okay, so perception occult on
basically picking up like objects and things, or investigation, okay. Whichever you prefer.
That'll be perception investigation, because you're now kind of Well, you're investigating the area, so you're trying to find clues.
I'm trying to find clues.
And you may also make your illuminated trail of prey roll.
Oh, that's a level 1 blood sorcery ritual.
Actually, let me check 1 sec, because there is something. So you want to track what you think came out of the flesh sack, right?
Right.
Okay, so the limitation of the illuminated trail of prey is that you must have a mental picture for prey or the name of them, which means you need to have a very fairly good idea of what they look like, or to know them in some basic way, like having seen a picture or something, or like having their description. You don't really have that.
Oh my god.
So you can't really track them. You don't have their name either. So you wouldn't be able to track them. That is, if they're alive at all. Because it doesn't look like anything else in there survived.
That sucks. Oh well.
You have other abilities. You can just roll your. Both of you can roll perception investigation as you begin to rummage through the basement level. Okay, so QD, you get 2 successes.
Yeah, but
Kadir would suggest to
1 success.
To Hakim, if your mastery with aspects is high enough, can you see the past of that flesh?
That could work.
So Hakim,
yeah.
there are two rooms that you have yet to enter. Kadir,
1 at a time.
1 at a time. And Kadir, what's quickly becoming apparent to you is that the way it doesn't make sense that all the levels of the Tremere Chantry were blown to pieces, apparently burned down, but this one, and you're wondering why there's a hole into this room. You quickly find the entrance from the basement to the ground floor, and you also find out that it is warded quite heavily. It's basically warded against every sort of supernatural, from canine to ghoul to spirits, fae, werewolves. The place seems like it was designed to be very secure, yet 1, it clearly isn't, and 2, the more you think about it, the more the evidence seems to suggest that 1, that hole was not made via any usurper. They can access it normally. So it looks like this place was broken into by someone else, and it looks like that force was enough to force the usurpers to abandon the Chantry entirely. And they either tried to burn it down as they fled, or the fire may have been incidental. I'm not entirely sure about the fire. But it appears if they really wanted to move, close up shop, move somewhere else, why wouldn't they have cleaned out the basement floor as well? There's clearly evidence of her activity here. Perhaps they were relying on the aqueduct's construction to build over the Chantry, thus eliminating any evidence that they were here, but
that's not what happened.
That's not what happened, and the process seems to be very slow on the aqueduct's front. Like it's been a few weeks. Like there's quite a big time gap where people who would have known where the Chantry was would have been able to investigate.
Okay.
So that doesn't make sense as an option either. So it appears that the usurpers are forced to abandon this place by another force, one strong enough to smash through thick stone, what is effectively walling, but in this case it's flooring.
And no, you go ahead, Hakeem.
I was going. I feel like a dick. I'm sorry, but I didn't expect this scene to go on for so long.
That's fine.
And somebody else is actually calling me to do a thing because I actually bled into other time.
Okay.
Two,
We're
I would.
getting fairly close to the end.
Okay. I don't mean to be that guy, but how much longer do you think?
We can just make it investigation rolls for the next 2 doors.
Okay. Alright, so I would like to do a Spirit's Touch on the sack, which is probably supremely stupid. But this is incredibly intriguing. Because if I get a good roll on this, I don't think you understand how hard my penis will be, Chris. So, so for perception, I believe it's perception empathy for that one.
Yes, perception empathy.
Okay. And what's my difficulty? Because of aspects, it gets lowered. Because I believe that's how it was explained to me in this version of it.
And this version, the difficulty is based on, it's based on what I give to it. So, it's been here for a little while, and the item's been badly damaged. And part of it is no longer present. It's not functional in its state, and that's not really. Normally, that wouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But the specific, rather mystical circumstances of this damaged sack do have an impact on difficulty. So also, it's difficulty 7. So it's +1 diff.
Okay,
Due to time and its incomplete nature.
Would you still count the heightened senses thing?
They won't help you receive a vision, no. So
It's just a flat 7?
it's just a flat 7 for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Helps for all specs because you're actively seeing things, but with Spirit's Touch, you're examining something's aura and receiving a vision from that aura. Well, examining something's resonance, not really aura.
Okay.
3 successes is good.
I don't think it's going to be that good, though. Let's get it.
Okay, so you see. You see a rather disturbing image. The sack pulsates unnaturally. You see it when it was functional, when it had something inside of it. You see a human-like figure, thin, rather lithe, feminine. She appears to be a shadow against the sack itself. and you see it almost like fast forwarding over time, slowly changing, twisting the body, but
Am I able to
then
make
collapsing.
out? Am I able to make out a person?
It is only towards the end of the vision that you receive an image of a person's face.
Mhm.
Not actually particularly. They are not as grotesque or broken as you would have thought them to be.
Mhm.
In fact, it's a strange, almost half-done process. You definitely get the feeling as the face slowly makes its way up to the flesh sac that the process is not yet done, it is not yet complete.
Mhm.
And you will get
My dick is so hard right now. I don't think you get it.
the image of this woman who appears to be fairly like in her just hitting 30, maybe just hitting 31. Um, with what appear to be clear gangrel claws ripping through the sack. And that is where the vision ends.
Oh my god! Oh! And, to everyone that's viewing this scene, please don't worry about my animalistic screams. Is that enough for the ritual, my good sir? Because now I know what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah, it's definitely enough because you have a mental picture of your individual now.
Okay, okay. Oh my god. I'm excited. Um, through the link, Hakeem will tell Al Qadir, I have a picture of what we're looking for.
What is it?
Uh, it's hard to describe. Basically, the picture that just flashes up. He tries to describe it the best way he can, but that. Oh, so
Uh,
also, if Lissa's having an active conversation with Hakeem, she gets that information too.
Kadir just goes a little bit pale because this can implement
A
several
lot of
different
things.
ways. Yeah, and only solidifies his resolve against the Tremere.
Yeah, this is like the hatred is real now. Like what?
Salt more.
Yeah, I'm salting. Um, yeah. God damn it, guys. Uh, hold on, but god damn it. Um, so with that, I make we should definitely make a because that can be another scene. Um, go
That
hunting
can be
this
another
chick down.
scene. However, there are still 2 rooms left.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
just check the next 2 rooms.
So the problem with both of these rooms is that they are warded. So how are you going to get around that first? Does any of you have Unweave Ritual?
I
That's
didn't
not
know
a.
that was a thing.
I know that was a thing. It's also not in Dark Ages at all.
That's true.
Outside
Also,
of
it's
only thing
also there's also a way if you have like if I do have that ritual, and if you meet the specific requirements of that ward, you can go through it.
I was about to say the only thing I could think of is if it's a ritual, could we not similar to if it's like a ritual, and how the rituals are described, and also with the lesser paths, we could possibly blow through it with sheer will, but of course that's dangerous to do.
Okay.
That's
So
dangerous.
Do
Yeah.
you Does any of you here have intelligence 5?
I have intelligence 4.
4.
Well, you are close. I'll give you that. I suppose
Typically, I
if you're
didn't think we're
guessing
allowed to
all
have
these
intelligence
rituals.
5.
Where you can just overwhelm the ritual, but if you're just trying to flat out go through it, I think a roll isn't like required.
Yeah. So you can't interact with a ward unless you spend 1 willpower point and make a willpower roll as an extended action.
Hmm.
Difficulty 4 plus level of award, which is 5, so it's difficulty 9. You need to get 5 successes to break it.
An effort.
So you need to spend, and for every roll you make, you need to spend a willpower.
Like I said, could this be a joint effort? Because I think I don't know. I got stuff written down. Ooh, actually, no, my willpower is almost. Yeah, if I'm reading this right, yeah, my willpower is backed up to full then.
You could just destroy the door.
Fuck it, destroy
Yeah,
the
but
door. Fuck it.
the door could also explode with fire. I've read Dresden Files. You don't just break down things with words on them.
Do any of you have any spells or items that could destroy the door?
Nope. If I got lucky, I could possibly freeze the door.
That's not. No, you need to be
That's not-
outside to use weather control.
I could do it in.
We can try to see if we can break down the door.
You'll need to hit
Straight
it
up.
with an item because you won't be able to touch it because of a ward.
I have my Kopesh, and I do have the Ritual Fleeting Blade. I could possibly cut down the door.
Both of you make strength rolls.
Ooh, that's what sorcerers are good at.
You'll need a collective. You'll need 5 successes because at this point nobody's really constructing doors to be vaults. They never really expected anyone to make it this far. Which, to be fair, you're the first people to do so. So if you altogether get 5 successes, that will be enough.
So I spend 2 blood to.
Working out.
Oh yeah, I hit the gym. It's a real thing. I hit the dream. I mean,
You literally get just enough collectively. And I'll be more than happy to apply those rolls to the next door as well, because there's not really much point in stringing this.
I'll just.
Oh, you when you walk into this door, it's pretty clear what this room was designed for, because it's full of broken and fleshy sacks that are covered in ash and dust. And you actually realize as you open the door, it's kind of a gust of wind enters the room. This room was airtight.
This does not bode well for the usurpers.
Of course it doesn't.
There's about half a dozen.
Do they look broken out of?
They look. Some of them are just deflated. Others look like they've been pierced or broken, but it's just everything. It's they don't appear shredded in the same way that the ones outside were, or the one outside was. The other one was clearly just broken. They haven't decayed as much because this room is airtight.
Is there notes or anything?
Not here. Probably burnt. They were probably kept on a higher floor. Like, you haven't seen any books. The library was probably either on the first floor or a floor higher up. This is clearly a multi-story building. But it appears whatever forced the usurpers from this place, either it started the fire or they started the fire, and, well, did a half-decent job of burning down the evidence.
Hakeem,
Yes.
has anybody claimed this territory yet?
No, absolutely not. For that, I'm sore. I think we might have them.
And he nods to that. Is there any way that Lisa could possibly take control of this? I don't have the influence to do so.
With
Not.
something also for you guys to note is that within a week or two, it's likely this place will be built over by the aqueduct.
This.
By the aqueduct project itself.
No, but Ebony and another individual does owe me a favor. I believe I could ask her to move away the influence, and then the other members of our clan should be able to go in and do what they have to do virtually unobstructed.
Good. And looking over to the aqueduct, and it is going in the path of the leftovers of this chantry, right? Chris?
Oh, pardon?
I said, and the aqueduct would be crossing over the area of this area, right?
It would literally be built over this area, yeah. A lot of the buildings on the other side of the street, or some of them have already been knocked down to provide room. The foundations have been laid. You can actually see the aqueduct not too far outside, like 100 yards, 200 yards. Like the construction's been going on for months now. It's beginning to near completion.
Yeah. Then seeing that and seeing this,
a few months ago,
Kadir's feeling this is way too convenient. That if we hadn't checked this place out, this would have been gone. Like he's being suspicious, thinking that some high level Tremere predicted this, obviously months and months in advance for this to eventually happen. So he's just being paranoid at this point. It just seems oddly convenient that this area would be gone if we hadn't checked it out.
Mm.
So this is the first room. Is what can we find in the second room?
Is it pretty much more of the same?
it's different. Appears to be largely weapons storage. Most of the weapons are mundane. Although some are clearly enchanted. Burning blades almost entirely. There's not anything else here that is particularly special other than.
I guess we can split up the burning blades and leave.
There is a ledger there.
There's a what here?
A ledger. Kind of seems to bookkeeping for the income and inflow and outflow of weapons. Where they're coming from, who's giving them to them, who's giving them to the usurpers, who's selling them, etc.
This will be my last roll, then I legit have to go.
Roll me Seneschal. Roll me intelligent perception Seneschal.
Both of us, or just
Both
like
of
you?
If you're examining the ledger, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is not a farming situation, so my specialty does not go into place.
Intelligence Seneschal, you said?
Intelligence Seneschal, yeah.
My second willpower of the night.
Damn. Okay, you get 1, 2, 3 successes, Kadir, and Hakim, you get 4. So both of you notice something. Most of the names appear unremarkable. However, a couple of names are not, well, they're not names. They appear to be covered up via initials. So it appears some effort has been made to obscure them. The first one is NV. NV. The second is HT. And the third, where it seems the least amount of weapons and money is coming from. Well, not money, weapons. The individuals receiving money for the weapons, but a significant discount. Is G, no, it's EG. So it's 3 names. I'll just type them in the chat for you.
Oh, so it was NV. I thought it was MV.
Yeah, it's N. But there you go.
Can I have... I think this would be politics to try to put initials to names.
I mean, you can play politics.
Or enigmas.
It'll take a little bit more investigation.
Okay.
But it's definitely something you can do. There's definitely been an effort to cover up these names, as in they're using initials for these people, so either they're illegal, or they have some sort of vested interest in retaining that anonymity. But at the same time, they're trying to keep track of who's giving them what, so they have a sort of alias for them to use, at least in their ledger, so they know what this means. It's not a cipher, it's just, there's no code or anything, it's just an alias. May be relevant to their real names, may not be.
Okay.
A bit difficult to say right now, but you can take it and you can go. It doesn't appear there's too much else here other than the burning blades and the weapons, which all appear to be in good condition.
We take the rest of the burning blades. I take the list. The list goes to my superiors because maybe somebody can puzzle something else out that I can't right now. And yeah, we need to get more of the clan involved, because if we're actually hunting this person because of the fact, actually, never mind. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's all good. Does Kadu do anything else? Is you guys, or do you guys wish to leave? The dust storm is still very much active. It lasts for 3 scenes, so it's going to be going out throughout the. It's going to be going on for the entire night.
There's nothing much more Kadir could do since these things aren't alive and dead. I can't get an aura reading off of them. Okay.
No,
the
but
flash suck itself is not a living thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it was inside would have been.
Yeah.
But the sack itself is, you can spirits touch that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing much more Kadir could do. If you'll come back here with more people, but that will be for another time.
yep, I'm done.
Okay. Then you begin to climb out of the hole. several militia groups have passed since you've entered, but they haven't investigated this area. You haven't made a lot of noise, and you're able to leave without too much of a fuss. Again, using the sandstorm to cover for you quite adequately. No one's really, any guards you see approaching you, you see them well before they see you, and you're able to simply take cover and hide without really arousing their suspicion at all, or just switch streets. And I think that is where we can end this scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, watching, and we'll see you all next time.